Candy's Classic Game Shrine, everyone, and today I'm going to review the Everdrive N8, which is a flash cart for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So to start off, a flash cart is a cartridge for a games console that's able to hold an entire library of games via an SD card, as you can see here on mine. There's no emulation if you're playing, say, a Game Boy Advance game off of a Game Boy Advance flash cart. However, on most flash carts you can add emulators for other systems and emulate that way. In a real game, you have what's called an EEPROM chip, and that EEPROM chip is what holds the game or multiple games on that cart. The SD card in the flash cart acts as that EEPROM chip, allowing the cart to have access to a larger storage memory than before. Now, with the formal stuff out of the way, let's get on to the details of this flash cart. So what you're looking at here is the Everdrive N8 for the NES. Everdrives are made by a guy in Ukraine that goes by the online name of Krikzz. The N8 is actually capable of playing games from any region of NES, as well as Famicom Disk System games. Yes, that's correct. You can play PAL, Japanese games, the Japanese disc games, and the American games on here, as well as homebrew games and hacks that you can load onto this via the SD card. And being able to play them on the console they're intended for is really awesome. You can purchase these Everdrives from Krikzz.com. I'll put the links down in the description, or you can find an authorized retailer on the same website. I like to buy them from Krikzz directly, or from one of the other retailers that are authorized that goes by the name of StoneAgeGamer.com. These usually go for about $117. You normally have the option of purchasing these with or without the cartridge shell, and if you don't mind sacrificing like a crappy sports title or a game that doesn't work anymore, you can save yourself a couple bucks. I made myself a custom label and used a original shell from a broken California games cart that I had lying around. If you turn it around, this is just how you can load and save. I taped a little note on there for when I use it in the top loader. If you look here, the pins look pretty original. If you want to know how to assemble one of these, you can check out the video I did on this in the link in the corner or in the description below. If you want to get a better look at the label I did, here you go. Setting up your Everdrive may seem confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. You're going to want to go to Krikzz.com, as you can see here, and scroll down until you can find the Everdrive that you have. In this case, it's going to be the Everdrive N8. Once you find it, you're going to click on it, and once the page loads, you're going to want to scroll down until you find the downloads for the OS. Right here is the OS update. When you click this, you're going to be brought to a page with all the current and previous updates for the flash cart. You're always going to want to choose the latest one, which would be this one right here. And if you're always curious as to which one is the latest, the dates are right here. So go ahead and click that and it will download for you. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, once the file has been downloaded, you're going to want to click your downloads folder, because that's generally where it's going to go when you've downloaded it. Find the OS, which will be labeled EDFC, click it and drag it onto the root of the SD card you're going to use for your Everdrive. Mine is labeled Everdrive N8. And once that's done, you're ready to start adding your games. Now, in order to add ROMs, you have to find a site that hosts them for download. And I'm sorry guys, I just can't link them. Google's going to be your friend though. Once you have the ROMs that you want, you have to set up folders in order to store them. In the root of your SD card, I recommend setting folders that are alphabetical, or maybe by region if you have a full library, and then you can go within that folder and do that alphabetized. Each folder can hold up to 256 files. Any more than that and they will not show up on the cart when you put it in the system and turn it on. Once you have your folders set up, just drag and drop your your .NES files to the appropriate folder. Let me show you here what I mean with mine. This here is how I have it all set up prior. I'm going to highlight everything here and just drag everything over. Now it's going to take some time. I have all the libraries. Now while I have you here, a note regarding the Famicom Disk System games. You do need to find the BIOS file for the disk system in order for it to run on the Everdrive. Those can be found on most ROM sites as well. Google is your friend, again. Once you're done loading up all your ROMs, put the SD card in the flash cart and the cart in the system. When you start up your console, you'll automatically be brought to a menu that looks somewhat like this, with all of your folders containing your ROMs. This is what mine looks like, however, depending on how you label your folders, yours will look slightly different. However, with that being said, the EDFC folder is not needed. Now, in order to navigate the menu, all you need is the up and down button to go up and down. The A button is to cancel. B is to confirm. Pressing start will play the last game flashed to the memory. And pressing select will open up your main menu that gives you your options, your cheats, your device info, your mapper info, and your about. So, my final thoughts. The compatibility on this cart is 100% and I love it. The fact that you're offered not only your own region, but every region plus the disk system games, it opens up so many more games without having to get the region-specific console to enjoy it or modify your system. The price on these has gone down over the years, and if you really want to, you can find a bootleg one for a little bit cheaper. However, keep in mind if you get a bootleg one, they'll work, but they can't be updated with the latest OS, and you might run into compatibility issues with some of the games. I can't comment on the quality of the shell since I used my own, but as far as the board goes, it's professionally done and the solder points are spot on. The thickness of the board and the pins are perfect and pose no issue when inserting or removing from consoles. However, like with all things, there are some cons, and the ones that I personally found with it is that if your NES doesn't have the best pin connector and your lockout chip hasn't been disabled, the repeated resetting can sometimes corrupt your SD card, so make sure you have a backup of your SD card on your computer or elsewhere, or you can always, disable your lockout chip or replace the pin connector or get a blinking light win or a mixture of any of that. But that's pretty much all I have on this particular item today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're really interested, I have a Patreon, the link is in the description. My social media is there if you would like to follow me. And until next time, guys, take care.